Welcome. This is Bitcoin Day Trading, the best Elliott wave analysis, episode number 55. Today, I'm going to talk with you about some interesting topics. Two topics that came up in my Telegram channels. So I'm going to take a look at that with you. And once that is done, we will talk about price. I did not find the time to make an intervention on Monday, but I'm doing one today on Friday. Normally, I thought that it was not bad doing 2 weeks, one on the start of the week and one at the end of the week. I think that's not a bad rhythm if I can maintain it for my YouTube followers, and also it could be something on top for my private clients. But first, as always, I have to show you my disclaimer so that you are aware that there are risk involved in trading. So please read my disclaimer and my risk warning. The link is in the description. And I'm shortly going to talk about my live Elliott wave updates, which you can subscribe to for $20 a month. And you will get 1 to 3 updates. Normally it's more than 3. During the week, a little less during the weekend. I normally take off Saturday and I start on Sunday evening again. If you those updates are extremely technical, you get a screenshot of the price and a small description of what is happening beneath it. And I find it extremely interesting if you want to learn about Elliott wave, or if you are a trader and you need it as an indicator. In both cases, if you want to join, you have to join the free Telegram group and tell me that you're interested, and then I will provide you the instruction on how to become a member. Now, that being said, I'm going to share with you my Telegram. And we are going to talk about 2 things. Let's first start with this one. So this is a new YouTube video, and I recommend you watching it. It talks about Bitcoin being a generational wealth, as you can see. And it's a short movie, and you should watch it. It's interesting. And my comment about the new movie was, Bitcoin is the only real hope humanity has. If that doesn't work, if it isn't embraced by more than 99% of the world population, we will be facing the worst form of tyranny imaginable. Far worse than the one portrayed by the movie The Matrix. And it is hard to me to explain. No, it's not that hard. I can tell it you simply, but it's hard to me to convince you that that is the truth. The biggest danger for humanity nowadays is our states, everywhere on earth. It's the biggest danger. And they will create a dystopia that I can't even describe. It is like the Titanic, who's taking water, and it will be submerged, and people need something to hang on, something to save their life, and that thing is Bitcoin. So if you don't want to be a victim of the tyranny that is forming and that will only get worse with time, Bitcoin is your hope. It's the worst dangers. Everything else, immigration or climate change or viruses, everything else is not a real threat to humanity, but our governments are. I'm extreme now, and I will shock a lot of people. And it's hard for me to explain to you in only a couple of words. But I did write, my last book talks about that. And not in that aspect, but it explained to you the problem with our governments. And I'm not the only one who thinks like this. There are a lot of anarchists and a lot of people who see the danger in our governments. Look at Third World War, look at the Second World War, and look what they're doing nowadays with money printing and so on. So it is more than concerning. I must be careful to not say too much because I will be banned on YouTube if I do. But Bitcoin is your hope. Bitcoin is your is the thing that will save humanity. And right now, it only saves the people who trust in it and take the money out of the legacy system and transfer it into Bitcoin. It only saves those people who bet on it. But if humanity in its whole will adapt it, then it will be capable of saving humanity from its destruction. And we are moving to it. Look at what is happening in Australia and other countries. It really doesn't look good. And it looks worse and worse when time moves on. And they create one bad law after the next. So it's extremely concerning. I don't want to go in more details because I will simply get banned from YouTube, and there's no point in doing that. I hope that I didn't say too much already. But watch it. It gives you an idea of the dangers we are facing and the solution that Bitcoin could be. That's one explanation. I think it's even worse than what is depicted in that small movie. And I think that Bitcoin could do much more than what the solution is also depicted in this movie. But it goes in the right direction, and you should watch it. So I hope I'm not going to get banned for that. And I can keep on posting YouTube videos. And that's why I'm always recommending you to have also a second way of communicating with me, because things can go wrong. I can get banned, I can get deplatformed, and then I will try to find another way of communicating with you. And it is, I lose all my contacts if you don't have a second way of communicating with me. That's why I recommend you to join my free Telegram group, so that you have a second way of asking me questions, and like this gentleman did. He, after watching, I think he watched the movie and that we are talking about, Bitcoin Generational Wealth, and he said, but in the same time, Tori, we know that BTC will be obsolete if a quantum computer is steered, maybe 10, 15 years. So he thinks that a quantum computer could put an end to Bitcoin or be a real threat to Bitcoin. And my answer to him is the following. There are several ways of protecting BTC against quantum computing if one day it will represent a threat. One of them is that Bitcoin could implement some soft fork changes which would update it to be more secure and quantum resistant. If the threat is real, the likelihood that Bitcoin community will be able to come up with a solution before the entire network is under attack is particularly high. So I think that we will find a solution to that problem in time. It's like the Lightning Network. A lot of people thought it couldn't work, and it works just fine. And that threat will be put aside when it becomes real. People will do the necessary to make Bitcoin quantum computing resistant. So don't worry about that. Try to understand why BTC could save humanity if it gets adopted from its annihilation. That is more difficult to grasp. So yes, I think people, I was with a friend, and they did a test and tried to find out if you're an optimist, a cynic, or a pessimist. And they ask you a couple of questions, and my friend did ask me a couple of questions. I think that I'm an extremely optimistic person. I think that Bitcoin can save humanity, but I also think that the only hope we have is Bitcoin. I don't trust in anything else. I don't trust in banks. I don't trust in politicals. I don't trust in democracy. I trust in nothing apart from Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the only thing I trust in. Okay, and that being said, now we will talk about the second topic, also related to Bitcoin. I hope I can find it straight here. So that's my private help desk for my Elliott Wealth clients, private clients. So here only people who are in my private client have access. And one of the gentlemen did point out that there will be more legislation for stable coins. And I replied to his tweet, and their risk, I replied to his tweet. So we're talking about stable coins. And I said, they are a risk because they can regulate them, our government. And if they want, even ban them or make them unsuitable for use with too much regulation. That is why you should, when possible, use BTC. So the thing is, they can put an end to Bitcoin. Not to Bitcoin, but to altcoins and stablecoins. They can regulate them to death, and they can make them unusable. But they cannot do the same with Bitcoin because it's decentralized. Now they can start regulating it or banning it, but the same thing will be happening with Bitcoin than that happens in North Korea, for example. In North Korea, every kind of commerce, every kind of trading is banned. By that, I mean everything. You cannot have a shop, you cannot sell rice, you cannot do anything. So instead, because the government stopped everything. And that's the kind of dystopia I'm scared about. That's why I say that for humanity, things will go extremely, but extremely bad if we keep on going in the direction we are. And the only way to take away the power from the government is by using Bitcoin. So what happens when the normal market is banned and you cannot do anything because everything is banned under the laws you live? Well, you simply migrate to a black market. North Korean people are starving, but they still manage to survive. And not all of them. Some starve really to death. Kids and so on, they starve to death in the streets, and nobody does anything. You just walk past and let them starve. I've read a book from a refugee, and it is horrible what they live. And the only reason why they live that much pain is because of the government. And I'm predicting the same thing with us. Things will be dystopian, extremely dystopian in the future. And the only thing that can save us from that is Bitcoin. So when the normal market is banned, what will happen? People will simply use the black market, just as they do in North Korea. And thanks to the black market, they will survive. And that's what happens in North Korea. Everything is banned. You have no right to trade, to handle, to exchange anything with anybody, but you still do it on the black market. So if they start banning Bitcoin, which they can't really ban it. But then will, but if on a legal aspect, in the normal market, it is banned, you will simply use it in the black market, and it will be fine. It takes time to transit from the regular market to a black market, maybe 5 years. But after 5 years, everybody will use the black market, just as in North Korea. Everybody use the black market. If you do not want to use the black market, you starve to death. It's that simple. And it will be the same thing if they ban Bitcoin. If you cannot get it legally, you will use the black market. That's all. And it will be fine. It will be fine. Everybody will do it. And it does not matter. But it's only the case for Bitcoin. Everything else, they can take it off. They can pull the block and it's over. But they cannot pull the block with Bitcoin because it's decentralized. But it's the only thing they cannot pull the block with. Everything else they can take away from you. And here I had a gentleman who answered, but when the value of BTC starts going down, wouldn't it be better to use a stable coin? So that gentleman wants to hedge his position. And it's not a bad idea. It's just that you must be aware of the risk involved in trading. I did it in the past, and yes, it's a way of increase. It allowed me to increase my, I only hedged my position. I did it once with stable coins, and I did it also once with by taking a short position, 1x short, which is the same than taking a stable coin. So I did it in both ways, and it worked in the past. But there are risks involved in trading. And nowadays, at that time, I was willing to take the risk because you could use BitMEX as anonymously without giving you an identity, without having a know your customer. And at that time, I thought that for a couple of months, I could take the risk. Nowadays, when I look at all the regulated exchanges and the huge impact legislation has on them, I'm simply scared that if I hedge my position on an exchange, that the exchange, the government will seize my money from the exchange, and it will be transferred directly to the government who sees it. So I won't take the risk anymore today. But in the past, I did. Once I did use stable coins, and I also did use, as I told you, hedge my position by taking a 1x short position. But I won't do it anymore. I think that things are going too bad today, and that if an attack happens, the probability has risen, and I'm not taking the risk anymore. So my answer to him was the following. If you want to hedge by using a stablecoin, that is up to you. But you must know that there are risks involved and that you might lose it all. After a bear market, BTC will recover. Okay, if you study Elliott wave, you understand that there's an impulse wave and then a correction, an ABC correction. And after the ABC correction, you get a new impulse wave to new all-time highs. So Bitcoin will always recover, always. But if you use a stable coin and something goes wrong, you might lose it all. So after a bear market, BTC will recover. But if something goes wrong with your stable coin, you could surrender it all. So I don't want to take my risk because it's my entire lifetime of efforts that I put. That's why I worked for, to have something real. And I'm not taking the risk of losing it all because of some regulation or a technological failure, which the likelihood increases because they're not as resistant to attacks, something like USDC, technologically or legally, they are not resistant to any kind of attacks. So it's fun as long as it works, but when it stops working, you might lose all your money. But if something goes wrong with your altcoin, you could surrender it all. You know for yourself with what volatility you can live, bull and bear market. So here I'm talking about Bitcoin bull and bear market. And what risks you are willing to take if you use a stable coin or if you hedge your position by taking a 1x short position. You know yourself if you want to take that risk. My only goal financially is to increase the amount of BTC I have. So I make a certain amount of money by trading. And for example, selling trading related service. And I use an amount of money for living, for paying my expenses and my bills. And my goal is to increase steadily, not the amount of USD I have, not my net worth, but the amount of BTC I have. That's my unique goal. So my unique goal financially is to increase the amount of BTC I have. For me, prudence trumps courage. So I think it's more important to be prudent than to be courageous and take a risky bet. Of course, you will make more money if you take a stable coin and you hedge during a bear market, you will make more money and buy on the at rock bottom and then go long again. I did it in the past. Yes, you make more money, but you also have to take the counterparty risk, and I'm not taking the counterparty risk. So for me, prudence is more important than courage when it comes to financial affairs, because especially when you risk everything on a position, if something goes wrong, you lose everything. And I'm not taking that risk. I'm not taking that risk. I trade, I buy altcoins, I speculate on new things. I take smart contracts and really risky stuff, but with a small position, and if I lose it all, it does not matter. But I will not hedge my entire position by using USDC or a 1x short position. So as I told you a couple of times, and I'm repeating it one last time because it's really important. Prudence is more important than courage when it comes to trading. And it's better for you having an amount X, let's say 100K, than having 10 minutes. If you can lose the 10 minutes tomorrow, it's better to have 100K for certain than have 10 minutes that you can lose tomorrow. Okay. Because yes, it might go fine during the next bear market, but you do it again in the following market, and then something goes wrong, and in the following bear market, and then something goes wrong, and you lose it all. So there only has to go only once it has to go wrong, and you lose it all. And I'm not taking that risk. To me, that's crazy. I did not work my entire life to lose it all because of legal issues or technological issues. I did not work my entire life for that. But if you want to take that risk, if your personality is inclined in taking more risk because you have to make more money, then do it. I hope nothing happens, everything goes fine, and you make more money. But I have to be prudent. I don't want to lose the result of a life of efforts because something technologically or legally goes wrong. But but that's me. You do you. So that's me. That's my personality. I prefer having only 100K that I have for certain than having 10 minutes that I can lose tomorrow. That's me. You do whatever fits you and whatever risk you want to take. Now that we have talked about the two topics I wanted to talk about, we will end it with taking a look at the charts. So I'm starting with the 3-hour chart. And on the 3-hour chart, what can I tell you? Let's take a look at it. So on the 3-hour chart, I still think that there's a good probability that the bottom of wave C of 4 has been made at a level close to 53,281, which is in the 0.5 50% retracement of wave 3. So your wave 3 is up here, and that's the ends up there, and that's the 50% retracement of it. So I still think that is possible, is even probable. And I haven't labeled it here, but I also think that we had wave 1 and wave 2 now. We're going to take a look at a smaller time frame to see that. But here the important level that we have to break is the top of wave 4, which is at 59,445.45. So once we break that level, the probability that the low that we did make here is a long-lasting low is higher. It will increase, and the affairs of the bull. It will increase the bullish scenario once we go higher than 59,445. So that's the next key level I'm looking forward to. Someone on YouTube said that the issue with wave 2 and wave 4 not showing alternation is indicating that we are still going lower, and that wave 5 of C is not over, or could be not over. And that's a point that you can advance. It's a position that can be defended. And you're right that it would be better if we see alternation between wave 4 and wave 2. But it's only a guideline. It means sometimes it happens and sometimes it does not happen. So I still think that even without alternation, that the probability that this was the low is quite high. And now we are going to take a look at the 30-minute charts. And on the 30-minute chart, I'm trying to label this correction, because I can quite clearly label the bottom here wave 5 of C. And I can also easily put a wave 1 here. And then we start a correction. So that is probably a wave A, this is probably a wave B, and here you have a wave C. Until here, everything goes fine. And then either we start an uptrend from here, but then you need let me do that again. If you start an uptrend from here, you need 5 waves and an impulsive 5-wave move. And since we did not get that, it is still part, it must be still part of the correction. So the best labeling I came up with, but maybe I will find a better one, is by putting an X wave up here and a Y wave down and a double V here. So that's the best labeling I came up with. It doesn't look very symmetrical and extremely nice, but it fits the requirement for the correction. So the correction could be over here at this wave C of Y of 2. So that would be the end of wave 2. Or maybe it still extends, I can tell you. But as long as 55,839 holds, I think that the likelihood that we go up and down it's higher that we go up and down. If maybe the correction will extend a little more and we will visit the 0.618 Fibonacci level retracement of wave 1. Here you have wave 1, and that's the retracement of it at 55,230. For now, the 50% retracement of wave 1 at 55,811 did hold. And I think there's quite a good chance that that level will hold. If not, we can if not, we have to see if the next level, the 61.8% retracement, will be the end of the correction. And the level that cannot break, of course, is 53,308. If that breaks, then the bullish scenario is over. It's not on the table anymore for now. It means simply that we did not, that the wave 4 correction is not here, and that is still extending, and that we have to make another low before we go higher. And now the last thing I'm going to talk about is the targets that we have for our main bullish count. And here the main target, our main target is when wave 3 equals 1.618 times wave 1. So here you have wave 1, and that's the extension of that wave 1. It's a Fibonacci extension. And it is at 64,386.29. So I think that, so I'm looking forward for that level to be hit, to be the top of wave 3. I'm looking forward to that. Another target would be when wave 3 equals wave 1, and that would be the case at 61,152. But I think we go higher. I think it will, wave 3 will extend, that we will reach the 64,386 target. Okay, that's it for today. I'll see you maybe on Monday. If I manage to make an intervention on Monday. If not, I'll certainly do one next week. As you know, I try to make 2. I thought that a good idea would be one at the start of the week and one at the end of the week. For the rest of the updates, it is recommended to be a member of my private channel. Then you get updated several times a day. And most of the times it's about 5, 6 or 7 times, but I only promise up to 3 because I don't want to promise 7 if I might deliver 5 only. But most of the time it's more than 3. So I recommend you to become a member of my private channel. And also, if you don't want to become a member of my private channel because you don't want to spend 20 USD a month, which I can understand, maybe you don't want to learn about Elliott wave, or you do not, you are not a trader and you don't need Elliott wave as an indicator, then of course there's no reason to spend 20 USD a month, and you only want to watch my free YouTube video, even if it's only 1 or 2 a week. If you only want to do that, that's fine too. But I still recommend you to join my free Telegram group. It's just to make sure that you have a second way of communicating with me if something happens. You never know when it could be useful, and you always should keep contacts that might help you in the future. So that's my second advice to you. And lastly, you can do me a favor as always by hitting the like button and subscribing and hitting the bell notification icon, because it's time-sensitive information and you should get it as soon as it's out. That being said, enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you next week. If everything goes according to plan on Monday. If not, maybe at the end of the week again. I don't know. But normally on Monday, if everything goes according to plan. Thank you and see you next time.